everybody. Welcome to another learning live stream with me, Christian Chiller. I can see for some reason that slow fade still seems to keep sneaking back despite the fact I've turned it off. I don't know. Anyway, this is not learning live stream with slow fades. This is learning live stream with me, Christian Chiller, where a couple of times a week I look at a different project. I sort of have rough themes for each day of the week, and typically Monday is something aimed at more developers, people kind of working on technical projects, that kind of thing. And today is definitely going to be one of those. A few things to introduce you to. As you can probably see from outside, I need to get my green screen back because now we are starting to enter spring and summer finally in the Northern Hemisphere, and there's way too much light coming from behind me now. In fact, sort of overly lit today, but hey, sometimes you just got to enjoy when the sunshine finally comes out, and you can see what's happening over my left shoulder right now. I could also see I played with the title format a little bit. I couldn't quite figure out. Normally I will say something like, blah 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 with tool, but today I'm going to be looking at something slightly different, which is IntelliJ IDEA. I always find having to say the two words slightly odd. IntelliJ's, I'm just going to say that, new UI. So I couldn't quite get the text to fit that pattern. So it looked a bit off in that starting frame, but there we go. I think you get the idea. Who am I? I am, as I said, and I can really see that slow fade has come back. I don't know why. I am on christianchiller.com, and if you like what you're watching, you can subscribe. Or if you don't want to subscribe, just leave a comment and say hello. You'll notice I am now starting to finally run ads in my videos. So if you're watching this later and not live, there's some ads. Click on them if you like. If you don't like them, and I don't blame you, head on over to christianchiller.com where you can find other ways to support me, and I will start rolling out some of those soon over the coming months anyway, where you can support me in different ways. But as I said, today is all about IntelliJ's new in-testing UI. So let's jump into a screen share. Here is the blog post where they mention it. Not the catchiest of titles there. Actually, no, it's in the documentation, not really a blog post. It's still not enabled by default. And this came up when recently I put together a video, an edited video that has proved reasonably popular on the writing tools that the JetBrains team have added, which is redesigned and Grazie. And one of the things I mentioned when comparing my preferred tool, which is VS Code, to the IntelliJ tools, I always said the interface kind of didn't feel quite right to me. And some of the people at JetBrains rightfully said to me, well, we have a new UI coming. What do you think of it? And it was sort of too late for me to do much in that video with it, but I thought I would do a separate video here, just a live stream taking a look at it. We can see a screenshot here. It reduces the complexity. I would say that the UI of IntelliJ based IDEs kind of comes from they've been around for a while, kind of comes from a previous time maybe. Simplified main toolbar, new tool window layout, new themes, updated icons, and here's how we enable it. Light theme and dark theme. You can definitely see that simplification. Better contrast, new fonts, new icon sets, different window header, popping them under. Now this reminds me of another tool that does something like this. I can't think which one, but anyway, and a whole bunch of other things. Maybe we'll go through those bit by bit. I think it's only fair to maybe do a little bit of a comparison between VS Code and IntelliJ here, because that's what I'm going to be making the comparison to personally. May not be what JetBrains wants me to do, but I will do it so I can make the comparison. So let me think of a good project. I might go for my new website because it's, oops, it's in, I moved things around a bit recently. This is still the old. Bear with me 1 second. I'm getting some, I think I made some changes to my website in the wrong places. This is still the Jekyll version of the website, not the new Astro version. Incidentally, I also have a post up on Medium where I look at my final experiences of migrating my website to Astro. So if you're interested in seeing that, take a look. No, yes, I was correct in my assumption. This is not the right folder. I actually did move it to this new site thing. I think I've forgotten how I did this. There we go. Here it is here. Okay. So I think this is a good example site to, actually, I'm wondering if it is because Astro has an extension for VS Code and I doubt it has one for IntelliJ. I'm actually thinking it might be fairer to do a Flutter project. This one, yeah. Well, this is currently my React version, which I've been messing around with, and it's still running. I should actually stop that. I might actually just change the branch back to the Flutter version there to make it a little more discreet. Just because the React version won't really work quite right yet. So let's just, yeah. Hang on. Something is not right here. What is going on? I'm not seeing the right branches. This is concerning. Where's my code gone? Okay. Something is not quite right here. Something is not quite right with my Git work, not not the VS Code or IntelliJ. Huh. I have been moving around folders recently, which could be causing some problems maybe. We could use the React one for now, I suppose, but I feel like there's better options than that. Maybe this is an okay project for now. I'm going to have to be a little careful about not revealing that end file there. But that's okay. Anyway, we can see here sort of what we'd expect in VS Code. We have a sort of smart package.json, which will show us like versions of packages. It'll show us npm scripts. We can even do a run install. We could jump into debugger somehow if we wanted to run these scripts. We could look at the source control, even though it's a bit messed up, and I'll have to figure that out later. If we were to run in containers, we have, I mean, it's not actually running, but Docker, Kubernetes, connection to GitHub, and that seems to be where things have gone wrong. I seem to have lost the remote somehow. I'll fix that later. A bunch of other extensions here, there, and everywhere. This should show us what types they are, and of course give us autocomplete on various methods, etc., etc. Sort of what you'd expect, really. So that's that there. Let's pop open IntelliJ. And it's opened in the wrong window. Already you could see we have some, I don't know, it's hard to say because neither VS Code or IntelliJ really have completely native looking buttons. Like these buttons don't look like macOS buttons, but really neither does anything here. I mean, nothing here is even a button, so I don't know how to even find something that might look like a button. A lot of VS Code is very much just text files. You don't even really get like a proper UI in any way. It's odd. It's odd that I sometimes say it feels more native, even though actually when I click around and look at it, it looks less native in many ways. Because there's no buttons, there's not really anything here. It sort of feels cleaner, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly why it feels more comfortable. But yeah, we can see here there's buttons here that also don't really match. And we can see this here, but let's come back to it first. Let's get the old one for now. So this was the task overboard. Yep. Keeps opening in my other screen every time. This is another interesting thing. I have sort of noticed that this can happen with different tools quite a lot, and IntelliJ is one that does it. I have 3 screens right now, and every time I open a new window in VS Code, it will open in the active window. However that is determined, I don't know, but it sort of makes sense to me, and it seems to work. Whereas with IntelliJ, and it's not the only tool that does it, but in this particular video, it's relevant. It always opens on a different screen. I think whatever is considered my main screen, but my main screen and my active screen are not the same thing. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on there. It's hard to say exactly, but here we go. Anyway, so this is all leftovers from previous samples, as you can see. It's telling us about the new UI here, but let's just leave that off for now. I'd actually just like to get to the current UI. So this is the current UI. I don't know, there's nothing wrong with it per se, but it does feel a little older fashioned. I don't say old fashioned, but older fashioned, maybe. Not really any way to make these buttons and things look more Mac-y, if that's even a word. And as we looked at earlier, VS Code also doesn't do it anyway. Nothing, yeah, you can see some things here. Sync with OS, for example, etc., etc. And here's the new UI. We'll come to that in 1 second. We get the tabs. And again, this is going to be slightly broken because my remote seems to have gone walkabout somewhere. And if we open up the code, again, we should get sort of smarts there, but I'm not getting it. I might disable these TechWriter plugins because I seem to be getting endless messages about the fact that things aren't set up for them. Disable them for now. This is another thing that's always bothered me about IntelliJ. Everything requires a restart. But we should. I don't know why I'm not getting IntelliSense here. It's odd. I would have expected that to work. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And then down here we have the kind of Git tree, or that's a bit broken. We have to-dos. I don't have anything, I don't think. Could. Interestingly, that's something I have added as a plugin to VS Code. And here it's part of, this is looking inside all the node modules. Oh Lord, it's going to take a while. Current file, there we go, it's better. Scope based, yeah. Anyway, we get the idea. All right, let's enable the new UI. The new UI, that's a new word I've made up. New UI. Okay, enable it. Compact mode. Let's leave it without the compact mode for now. Let's see what happens. See what it looks like and come back to it with compact mode. Okay. All right. Okay. IDE error occurred. Okay, it doesn't like Fig. That's fine, just to keep things nice and stable for now. Fig is completely irrelevant to this video, so let's just remove it for now. It also doesn't really look like they've, I don't know, it doesn't look completely official to me. Okay, I just want to be sure. I mean, I would assume JavaScript is just there by default, but just slightly confused as to why I'm not getting the autocomplete, the IntelliSense stuff. I don't know. I would have thought it's enabled by default somehow, but it's hard to say. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting at least code coloring here, so I'm still not actually seeing anything here. I'm starting to wonder if it's not enabled by default. Maybe I need to pick a better project to test this. It's kind of interesting that I don't see. I wish I could get the branch to unstick itself here, because then we could look at the Flutter one, which would be, I know, would be working, but I'm just slightly confused as to if JavaScript is enabled or not. Fig seems to have re-enabled itself as well. It's encouraging. It does actually kind of look like it's not enabled by default, so I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to. What would be the best one? Let's see. Aha. Oh, only available in IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate. Okay. That's interesting and unexpected. Well, that is peculiar. Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to find a different language. I seem to have wandered into completely unrelated issues here. I could open up a Go project instead. It's also in Ultimate. Okay, this is all new to me. I feel like the Dart one will be a fairer comparison. Let me just do a little bit of Git fixing to hopefully figure out what has happened to my remotes and thus be able to switch to my Dart Flutter branch. And from there, oh, hello. So I'll pop this over to the right screen here. So this is what I'm on to. So there should be, I don't think I've pushed that React branch yet, but here's the main one. Not quite sure where the remote vanished to, which concerns me ever so slightly. I have been experimenting with doing something a bit weird and putting, for different reasons, my Git repositories in iCloud, which could be breaking some things. We'll see. Okay. So really, what I have here right now should be, I might actually save these as a patch and come back to them later because I haven't done a great deal. And then I'll create a branch properly later. Oh dear. Okay. It's going to get, just discard that. This is what I was playing around with the other day. So hopefully. Oh, yeah. Okay. Again, why does this always happen sometimes when you're just trying to do something and you end up having problems somewhere else? Welcome to programming, I suppose. I will just take this folder and just make a dirty copy here. That is copying, but seems to be 335 megabytes for some wild reasons. So I guess that's all the node modules. Actually, you know what? We don't really need to copy them right now. So let's just remove them. I think this might be problems caused by me attempting to put this in iCloud. We may find that was a bad idea. I might find that was a bad idea. So that was much quicker, as you can see. All right. Good. I think now just overwrite all of that. I thought I had made branches of like all the different languages, but obviously I hadn't yet. So we'll just reset main to here with a hard reset. We should be back to Flutter now. Yep. There we go. So this is Flutter, and as you can see in VS Code, you get, actually Flutter is a good option as well because the dev tooling from Flutter is far and above many other programming languages anyway. So you kind of get a lot of it for free in IDEs anyway. Obviously something needs to be installed. So get packages. Yeah, and that should fix all of these things, hopefully. Anyway, that's not really what I want to get stuck in right now, but you can also see here is the Flutter outline, and if we were to run it, if it will even run because of errors, I'm also now even more confused. This has got messed up. Something has got very messed up here with me switching branches, and I'm not entirely sure what is the correct thing anymore. But in theory, yeah, this looks like the correct one. I could now run this and you'll, what is something that's got, everything's got very broken somewhere. I wonder if this will also work. No. Okay. It's supposed to be in a browser. Oh. Yeah, dearie me. This is Chris fixes his open source projects hour right now. But why is this broken? There we go. I mean, this is quite what I wanted to get to. So yeah, we start getting errors. It's not working, but that's fine for the time being. You can also see like it's detected the language, it's found no device, etc., etc. That's kind of everything I would expect right now. That's okay. What I wanted to do was now switch into IntelliJ, and we should now with the new UI. This looks, it is, I don't know if it's coming across on the video, but, and unfortunately I think if I want to change things, I have to keep restarting, which is a pain for demonstrating. Let's just see out of interest. No, it requires a restart, but this is definitely a much higher contrast than the older version. I am finding this a lot easier to see, and I'm running this on my low resolution monitor as well. So yeah, open up code. Okay. This is also much crisper, and I should be getting some more IntelliSense stuff here, I hope. Maybe not. Well, we don't have the SDK. I do actually have an SDK. I feel like I had issues with this when I was trying to use the homebrew one in the past. I'm tempted just to, oh no. Oh boy, okay. This is not going so well in many different ways, unfortunately. Oh, that it doesn't pick up the default homebrew. All right, well, let's carry on. So I tell a lie as well. Every time I'm opening a new window, things are opening on the wrong window. It wasn't just IntelliJ. I don't know how to fix that. Kind of a pain, actually. I suppose I'd have to temporarily say make this the main window or something like that. Dart. But this is more the binary, I guess. It's like a Dart info or something. Yes, Dart info. It's still not really telling me what I want to know. I know I have an SDK. I don't know where it is. Okay. Oops. It's like what I want. Ah. Flutter Doctor. I forgot about good old Flutter Doctor. Where did my terminal go? Why did my terminal just vanish? What is going on? I don't see it. I'm not seeing that. Oh, Flutter SDK. Oh. Even Homebrew is recommended. This is kind of, it seems to be something only IntelliJ wants, and I don't know where to find it. Oh man. Oh boy. I mean, I could probably find it. This is getting very fiddly now. It's a shame it doesn't just pick it up. I don't even know where to find it. I'm not even getting to the UI stuff here. I'm getting to completely different problems. Although I guess it's all part of testing the UI. If the UI is new and shiny, but there's still other problems lurking there, that's, you know, an issue in itself. I don't like that plugin is so popular. Okay, if that already contains the Dart SDK, I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you, but I'm not strictly sure if that's true. But at least maybe we could just go for this path first and see if we can find where the Dart SDK is. No, these are all casks. That's interesting. Flutter is a cask. Dart isn't. I know that. Good. All right, all right, all right. Now what though? I don't really know where to look now. No, that's just done. But is that the SDK? I don't know. I guess we can give it a go. Nope, something like that. Do that. No, it doesn't like that either. That maybe? No? I honestly don't know. I'm utterly confused as to how to get this working. Because then if you go to macOS, the link it tells you to go to, it takes you to Homebrew, which is where I am, and I don't know what to put, and I'm not sure why it's not picking it up. And I'd really like to test some of the IntelliSense stuff. I mean, I'm going to just go for the wild thing of just rebooting it and seeing what happens. No. And we're still getting, I don't know why this Fig plugin refuses to disable itself either. Okay. So this is just not, I'm not getting anywhere with this. I don't know what it wants. Dart. I mean, I don't know if this is the SDK or not, but oh, That was what it wanted. Okay. No module selected. Dart support will be disabled for the project. Okay, I don't know what that means. Ah, here, I think. Okay. All right. Okay, good. All right, we're getting somewhere. Still saying it's not configured, but there we go. All right, good. All right. Now, the interesting thing here, let me just hide some things in the background. Make it a bit tidier. Where is, so this is the project. This is another thing I've always found interesting with IntelliJ is it will separate project from files. Yeah. What I'm confused by is where is the package file, the thing for installing dependencies. Oh, what did I have somehow really messed up my program here. I don't exactly know how I've done this. Let's undo that. It should not be like that. I am sure that was fixed. It's very strange. What I'm going to do is a bit of manual fixing behind the scenes, I think. Yeah, thanks, Stephen. I definitely am finding it much cleaner. I am just running into lots of other IntelliJ issues, which the new UI doesn't necessarily resolve. Yeah, this is what I want. And I don't really know why it's got buried. Let's just fix my own local setup problems before we go any further. Yes. Okay. All right, I think this is probably what I want now. So I now have, yes, no, so we can switch back to IntelliJ and hopefully give it a fair chance. There we go, that's better, right. Okay, so pubspec, what I'm interested to see is we have Flutter here, so we can do, a lot of this is provided by the default Flutter plugins. I don't know who they're developed by exactly, but they're very good, actually. I've written a blog post which will be published soon on this subject. I wrote it a long time ago. And, oh, God. Not again. Oh, I thought, oh, Flutter, not. It's odd because this is one of those weird cases where VS Code seems to just figure this stuff out. So it's in here somewhere, but now I'm still again not sure what it wants. It seems to be not happy with that. No, okay. Maybe? Yes, there we go, good. Okay, all right. So that's now Flutter. There we go. And I don't know if plugin creators have to take advantage of the new UI. I don't know why I keep saying new UI. New UI. Although I quite like the word new UI. And we can see that happening there. And I think, what I'm wondering is, there's a whole bunch of Flutter windows, and I'm wondering where they are in this. Here we go. So we're seeing some of them here, no device. And this is another interesting thing where I don't really know what's happened with my project because I had a browser enabled as a destination here and all that kind of stuff, and it's not working. I don't think the macOS one is going to work either because I don't have Xcode installed. Oh, seem to, maybe. I don't think this is going to run, but we can try. Doesn't really matter if it fails. Yeah, no, it's not going to work because I don't have Xcode installed and stuff like that. I just really wanted to get the other windows to pop up that Flutter has, see where they appear on the UI window. We can see the notifications here are similar. But that's the problem. It's hard to know where they may appear. But we can see these little pop downs here. This just is, oh, that's a project picker. Interesting. And here we have commit history. Here we have a structure of the file. Here we have more. Find hierarchy. What's the difference there? Not sure exactly. Go away. That's it. So, and down here we have services. I'm not completely sure what that might be. Yeah. Messages. So this is, yeah, debug. So it's, the problem is to switch back, it has to keep restarting, which is annoying. So take a look there. I could definitely see the contrast and the new clearer icons, and even the text here is clearer, but there's still a lot of weird oddities that the new UI, oh wow, the new UI is not going to change, but they're still getting in the way a little. But let's see. Tasks report again. So this is with the old UI. So there is a lot more clutter. That's definitely one thing. You can see this. We have all these things sort of in the way. There's all these, and we'll actually have to see where they even are on the new UI. So collapse options, select open file, then all these things here, then all these things here, then all these things here. There's a lot going on, but here's also the Dart aspect, which we didn't see on that. So it could be that not all plugins take advantage of it. And then we have, so here they are. Here's the Flutter Inspector, Flutter Performance. None of them are going to show anything right now, of course, but you can see them all here. And we didn't really see them on the other UI. Let's switch back to that. There is seemingly no quick way to do that from the old UI. So we'll have to switch back to the preferences again and restart again. Bit of a pain. Yeah. So it's definitely much tidier, but maybe this is, no, it's just the outline. So where are the other Flutter panes? And so those buttons are still here, actually. Yeah, all those things that we saw there are still, but they feel less messy, which is interesting. They feel less messy, even though they're still all there. Just cleaner. It's hard to say sometimes, like, and why did you have to make a new UI to make it cleaner? I don't know. But I don't know here. So here's all the Flutter stuff. Yeah, so it's not really taking advantage of that new UI. It's because also it's hard to know if I add another one as well, for example. No, there's one. Yeah, there's one more. But the problem I'm finding is that in the new UI, they all just look the same. So, so I can't tell which one's which without hovering and clicking. So that sort of gets a bit lost there. So I'm guessing that plugin creators will need to take advantage of them somehow. Yeah. I would assume that everything else is going to be kind of the same. So for example, let's try and trigger some, that basically looks the same. Again, I think it looks crisper, but pretty much the same. I can't entirely remember what else is an option in Flutter, but yeah, they basically look the same. I don't know, things like right clicks, they kind of look the same to me. So I think overall it's just cleaner. This I quite like. I wonder if we can have different instances of the UI. No, so this is this is still the new UI. I was wondering if I could have like one window old, one window new. And I quite like this bar at the top here. I mean, let's do a comparison now to... So the thing with VS Code, of course, is that a lot of what this all looks like is determined by themes. But to be fair, we should just do a kind of comparison with comparison. I will also, because I know many watchers of my videos are shocked by the fact I use light mode. So I will switch to dark mode as well. A lot of things are sort of in the same places. We have similar sorts of icons down here. VS Code will just put everything here. I feel like there is a way to also say have something here as well, but IntelliJ puts them here and here, and I'm not completely sure of why. And maybe we can move them, so that's encouraging at least. So we could make this even tidier. Yeah, and just put everything on the left, so that's okay. I quite like this bar at the top here. That's something you don't really get in VS Code, or it sort of adds something like that here, but it's not quite the same. And it's in different places. So device is up here, and VS Code is down here. I think a lot of this can be changed though. Yeah, things are mostly down here. It's kind of all the same. Let's switch to the dark mode. That doesn't really make a massive amount of difference. It's just dark mode. It's kind of the same again. In fact, I would say these are easier to see. I'm struggling to see these buttons here. That could again just be my theme though. I do tend to work in light mode, much to everyone's amazement. There you go. It's interesting as well because I've seen a few tools that will do this. Dark or light mode, they have just a dark top bar, and that does make this stand out way more, whereas the top bar in VS Code is very much just OS standard. It's that and not much else there, which I don't think is something you can do in IntelliJ. No, you can't use this. So this is a Mac OS tip. If you option click on a file, you can see the structure and jump straight to the folders. You can't do that here. Not at all. There's no way to trigger it. This can be, can be customized, of course. Yeah. And yeah, search as well. So this is probably much better than VS Code search. VS Code search is mostly just, or by default, I think is mostly just files and instances of words in files, not really these sorts of things. So something's always excelled. But that aside, I mean, they look pretty similar. I do remember, and I did cover it on my Twitch live streams, Fleet, which I think has just been rolled in to this. I don't think Fleet exists anymore. I think that's what this became. Now, someone is telling me to try the circles. Try the circles? What circles? Problem is comments are always slightly behind me as well. Try the circles. Don't see any circles. So I'll just carry on. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still uncertain. I definitely prefer the UI to the old UI. It's much crisper, much cleaner. But there's still a few things that kind of bug me. And I will say, like the fact that I had to manually set up all the SDKs and things like that. Top bar on the left, option, click. Yeah, the standard macOS stuff, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still uncertain if I would use it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Also, the interesting thing I find, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for joining me. The interesting thing I would also say with this is that some of those plugins are not available in the community edition, which is interesting. That limits a lot of the development work I do, which is another negative. It's not a negative of the UI, it's a negative of IntelliJ itself. And of course, the different money streams. JetBrains makes most of its income by selling tools, so it's reasonable. VS Code, Microsoft makes most of its money from selling services, so they don't really care so much. So you kind of see that's a fair justification, maybe, but it does mean it's hard to evaluate here. I also wonder if this new UI is available in all tools. Like, I actually tend to use probably Android Studio more these days. Let's see if that's got it. Because it's sort of IntelliJ. I don't think so. No. Okay, maybe that'll come later. Yeah. Anyway, so let's recap. So that was IntelliJ IDEas. This sounds weird to me. IntelliJ's new UI. I like it, but I'm still not sure if it's enough to make me want to use IntelliJ-based tools yet. Again, I used to, actually. Between using Atom and VS Code, I used to use them much more. That's because I used to get a special cheeky educational license. But there we go. I'm still not 100% sure. I like some of it, but there's still some of the underpinnings, not really related to the actual UI itself, that I don't quite gel with IntelliJ tools. But I keep them around, and there's certainly certain times when I prefer them. If I was going to do Kotlin or something, I would definitely be using them. That Java, for example. But for JavaScript and Flutter is a special case because the Flutter plugins are kind of made independently and are just very good across the board. JavaScript and TypeScript, I'm probably most likely to use VS Code because it's very optimized for that. So, you know, different tools for different jobs, maybe. All right. I do apologize. We had a little bit of problems there just getting projects working, but some of it was my fault and my Git getting messed up somehow, and some of it was IntelliJ being a little bit irritating with setting up SDKs. So a bit of a mixed bag, and some of it's relevant for the discussion. But if you managed to put up with me and liked what I saw, you can always subscribe or leave a comment. There we go. This is better. Subscribe, leave a comment, say hello later or now. I'm pretty much finished. And you can find more about me at chrischinchilla.com. The rest of the schedule for the week. I have quite a busy week on the schedule. Let me just get to it. Wednesday, I will be looking at Mac Whisper, a sort of macOS native version of OpenAI's Whisper project for speech to text or text to speech or both. Transcription, audio to text. There we go. And on Friday, I will be looking at taking a lot of old GarageBand and Cubase songs and converting them to Ableton. So 2 very different subjects. Hope you'll join me. Thank you very much for joining me. I have been Chris Chinchilla. Take care, everybody.